Alright, and welcome back to my probably last character of the league. It's a Necromancer, offered Olga, and the main idea for this character was to make a character that's stacking offering effects. Offerings can grant you crit chance, crit multi. It can give you cast speed or attack speed, and it can also give you block chance, both attack and spell block. In this update, 3.23, they added these things, so you can have between 20 to 30% increased effect of offerings on you. And first I started with all 3 offerings, but realized that this build can't really use all 3, because there are not enough corpses that I can summon to maintain all the 3, so I'm stuck with 2. So then I got to choose between block chance, cast speed, or crit. I needed a block for my survivability, but between crit and cast speed, I stuck with the cast speed and made a non-crit version utilizing the elemental overload. Why do I pick Necromancer when Elementalist would deal more damage in general? It's because I'm lazy. I hate 2-button builds, so this is a 1-button build utilizing corpses. So Corpse Pact grants me enemies near corpses you spawned recently are chilled and shocked, with a shock increased damage by at least 15% base. I can increase this up to 65%. Guaranteed 65%, because it doesn't matter if it's a hit or not. It's always 65%, unless they have shock reduction. So we get the shock effect from this Breath of Lightning node. We get shock effect from the Lightning Mastery. Increases reduction to maximum mana applied to shock effect at 30% of their value. We have 2 cluster jewel setups with overshock for another 40 plus 40%, and a medium cluster jewel, a megalomaniac, with another overshock, so that's 140% straight up just from overshock nodes. If you don't want to go into a second megalomaniac, you can always anoint something like Ash, Frost and Storm, that will give you 30%. Or Elemental Focus for 20, but I would just go for Ash, Frost and Storm because it's 10% more. I could put a damaging jewel up here instead. But since I found this extremely good megalomaniac, I also get 20% more mana, well, increased mana, and NG Leech. We're still taking this NG Leech wheel later anyways, because you need some kind of recovery to sustain the build. Why else are we picking Necromancer? Well, Essence Glutton, tons of energy shield regen, tons of mana regen, and we also get the offerings that I was talking about earlier. And Corpse Pact grants me 2% increased cast speed for each corpse consumed, up to 200%. This means that this build has a small ramp up, but after consuming 100 corpses, I'm casting like 7 times a second, making this 1-button build very plausible. Using the Kitava's first helmet, with increased effect of shock, implicit, corrupted, lets me summon corpses, desecrate plus spell cascade, and 2 offerings of my choice, in this case bone offering for block chance and flesh offering for cast speed, whenever I spend 100 mana on a spell. The way I achieve this is by lightning conduit linked to Archmage support. This grants my spell to cast 5% of my unreserved maximum mana, which is currently almost 6,500, and that's way too much to sustain. Like, if I'm casting 7 times a second, if I just take off this inspiration support and start casting, you will see it's depleting pretty fast. So, what I have to do is lower the percentage mana cost so it stays about just above 100 mana cost. And I can achieve this by getting a jewel, which has reduced mana cost of skills. You have reduced mana cost of skills from the mana mastery. You have reduced mana cost of skills on your rings, unveiled. And I have it on my mana flask. And this can be, the values can be changed depending on your own mana cost. So if you think that you need to change the values a bit, change the mana flask, change the jewel, divine orb, the rings. You don't even need life and mana modifiers, catalysts on it. You can take something else to lower the mana cost. So with my flask up, my current mana cost is 125 mana, and I can spam this all day. It doesn't go down, as long as the mana flask is up. And the best thing of all, Lightning Conduit works to, you can cast it although no nearby enemies are shocked. Nothing will happen, as you might see. So sometimes you have this very unlucky streak where you don't summon any corpses at all or trigger anything. But once you get the cast speed up, you will see that you're casting pretty fucking fast. So this 50% chance to trigger spell, you barely even notice it once you started ramping this up. So it says I need to not reserve any mana. I'm using the Prism Guardian here to cause my Wrath, Temper Shield and Discipline reserve on my life instead. Together with this Life Reservation Mastery, I can then also get a level 20 Arrogant Support linked to Clarity that will reserve almost all of my life. Reserve 2000. And since I'm not reserving any mana, I can fit in another aura with Eternal Blessing. Because it says that you can only have one aura on you from your blessing skills, and your non-blessing skills which reserve mana are disabled. Since I'm not reserving any mana, this is straight up just a free aura. And just link this to a cellar tree. So there are different ways you can build this. You can go with Shavron's wrappings. That way chaos damage can't pierce through your energy shield. But you lose quite a bit of survivability doing it. You lose like maybe 1,700 shield by doing this. The other solution is to get Ivory Tower, which says that chaos damage is taken from mana before life. And I gain maximum energy shield per 100 reserved life. In this case, I'm getting quite a bit of energy shield. My brain is having a fucking meltdown. I can't count. I'm using the Leash of Oblation to make sure I can have one of each offering. So in this case, the Flesh offering and Bone offering. Normally you can only have one offering. Since this spell has a really high base damage, it's 800 to 2400, and it deals, without Ashes of the Stars, 24% more damage with hits per 5% shock on an enemy. With Ashes, it goes up to 31% per 5% shock. It says we have 65% of shock. Oh yeah, here's more. Effect of lightning elements, forgot about those. It's a hell of a lot of more damage multipliers, basically. It says we're already on low life. We have Pain Attunement for 30% even more damage. This is resulting in a almost full screen AoE explosion every time you manage to summon a corpse. which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It goes really fast. So, where do my survivability come from? Well, first of all, we have 5,000 energy shield. We have 6,000 mana. We're using Arcane Cloak to gain a shield that is about 4,000. That lasts for about 7 seconds. We have Energy Shield Leech, with some of it being instant. And I'm using Stun Immunity with Vile Bastion from the Flesh and Flame, from the Occultist, which grants me Energy Shield Regen. It grants me Stun Immunity as long as I have Energy Shield, which is always because I'm on Energy Shield based build. This build is lacking a lot of resistances, which makes me, I'm forced to use this Coruscating Elixir, because it says that curse damage does not bypass energy shield during effect. And I'm also using a bismuth flask to cap my resistances. The way I'm permanently sustaining these flasks is through the Traitor Keystone, which is a Balbala Timeless Jewel, Brutal Restraint. And with the right seed, the denoted service of blah 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 Dakara changes some, well, adds more stats to these major loads, as you might see here. 10% increased flask charges gained, another 10% here. As says, I have 2 empty slots, that's 8 charges every 5 seconds. And then we'll add another 20% to that, so 9 charges ish every 5 seconds. Sustaining these permanently, even when I'm just standing still. And these are not even 30% quality, these are just 20. I made this build to clear maps. It can kill bosses, but there is so much screen clutter, as you maybe saw in the intro, when I just had a minor skill issue against Maven, walked into a laser, disabled all of my stuff, walked into a puddle, and I died. Because how am I supposed to see anything when this is what I see? So, it's a fun build. You basically nuke the entire screen whenever you manage to shock someone, and they just get automatically shocked for 65% as soon as there's a corpse on the ground. And the AoE is like almost the entire screen for the shock. Making this build really fun, super fast once you start revving up, and if you get an acceleration shrine, you're gonna go fast by using, where is it? Frostblink of Winter Blast. It has no cooldown, but it has slower cast speed. Hell, if I even just ramp this up a little bit, and then, see, I'm going fast. Although, my hideout is probably bad to show it on. So just go into this map, it's cleared. Just to show the zoom real quick. That was a really unlucky streak of like 7. And suddenly we're being slow again. But since if you're playing pretty hefty maps with lots of monsters, you sustain it by casting every now and then. So just blinking around, casting summoning corpses, free lightning conduit. It's good. It's good fun. Would I recommend this build? Probably. Yeah. If anything as much as hits you, if you don't have your Arcane Cloak up, you pretty much die. It's just straight up. You have no armor. You have capped resistances, but that's about it. And it's just a high health pool with the mana, Energy Shield, and the Arcane Cloak. So you're relying pretty much on staying at a safe distance, blocking, and just high health pool. See you in the next one.